Hello, AP students. We are going to do a quick video today on the order of important acts that we have learned about so far in chapter 6 and 7. If you don't know them, get your act together. Okay, this is just going to be for chapter 6 and 7, but before we begin, we do have some breaking news. Last night, Friday, September 28th, 2012, I hope you will remember forever where you were. It was approximately 9:30 at 10 o'clock at night. Cincinnati Reds pitcher Homer Bailey threw a no-hitter. Here he is celebrating. He's loving life. He can't believe he just did what no other Reds pitcher in the past 24 years did, which is throw a no-hitter. He's the first Reds pitcher since 1988 when Tom Browning threw a perfect game. There's Tom Browning. I miss those jerseys. Let's go to 1763. Take a moment. Think about those four big events that happened in 1763. Pause the video. Line them up. Tell me what two relate, how one leads to the other, and then do the same thing for the other two, please. I'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, I'm assuming you did it. Hopefully you got it correct because we've reviewed that many times in class. We have the end of the French and Indian War, also known as the 7 Years' War. This leads directly to the end of salutary neglect. Now, Britain is no longer taking this kind of hands-off approach on the colonies, and they're starting to get involved more when this ends. And what they are going to do is start taxing the colonies more. Why are they taxing? Why is the end of salutary neglect happening? Because the French and Indian War ended, and all wars put countries in debt. So there's need for money to pay off war debt. Once the 7 years of French and Indian War ends, salutary neglect is going to end because Britain needs to raise money. The other two famous events from 1763 were Pontiac's Rebellion, and this leads directly to the Proclamation Line of 1763. Pontiac's Rebellion was a conflict between natives and colonists west of the Appalachian Mountains, and Britain wanted to avoid future conflict. So everywhere you see a red and white star here, these are different battles fought in Pontiac's Rebellion. In order for Britain to make sure this doesn't happen again, they come up with an easy solution. This brown line here is the Appalachian Mountains, and they tell the colonists, you are not to cross it. So that is how Pontiac's Rebellion leads to the Proclamation Line of 1763. Remember, the colonists are not happy about this. They want to move west. They just fought for all that land. Stamp Act 1765, not the first act that is passed by Britain to raise money, but the most important one that angers everybody. It is a tax on 50 goods. The purpose is to raise money, again, to pay off our debt for the French and Indian War. This leads directly to the colonist response is the Stamp Act Congress. And remember, anytime you see Congress, you're going to think colonies. Congress, colonies, Congress, colonies. Homer, Bailey, through a no-hitter. And this is an example of colonial unity. And here is this image of what the Stamp Act meant to a lot of colonists: death. And it was just horrific for them, they felt. And the significance of the Stamp Act Congress, this is the first attempt at colonial unity against the British. Remember, there are many examples of colonial unity, but this is the first time against the British. Know that. We have boycotts, tarring and feathering, non-importation agreements. And this leads directly to what happens to the Stamp Act. If you said it is overturned, you are correct. But then Britain passes something to save face. What is it that they pass? Yes, the Declaratory Act. Very good. And what this says is Britain can pass all laws, including taxes, that they see fit. And another one of these laws that they pass is in 1767, and we have the Townsend Acts, named after Charles Townsend. And this is a tax on tea, lead, glass, etc. Do the colonists like this? No. Who were they okay with taxing them? The colonies. Do they want Britain taxing them? No, they do not. And this is again used to raise money. Do the colonists do? They kick, they scream, they protest, they tar and feather, they do everything. And this act is also eventually repealed, like the Stamp Act. You see this poor guy here covered in feathers, and it's just a big mess for him. 1773, one of the biggest acts that really leads to a monumental display of frustration is the Tea Act. And this is a tax on tea. But why the colonists were upset, there's two reasons you need to know them both. The purpose was to bail out the British East India Company. They had a monopoly on the tea trade, and the colonists were like, why do we care if this company is going bankrupt? We shouldn't have to help them. This tea is going to be cheaper than smuggled tea, but colonists are still upset. Why? They don't like paying taxes. There can be no taxation without representation. That's right, Otis. And this leads directly to what? How do the colonists respond to the Tea Act? You know this. That's right, the Boston Tea Party. December 1773. Sons of Liberty protest the Tea Act. They dress up as Native Americans and dump 540 chests of tea into the Boston harbor. And Britain responds by saying, okay, you had your little party, you threw your temper tantrum. Now we are going to pass the Intolerable or Coercive Acts. And this closes the port of Boston. It institutes a tougher quartering act. So the colonists say, okay, we see your intolerable / coercive acts, and we're going to raise you one more. And what is their response? The First Continental Congress. Oh my gosh, we have a word Congress here. What does that mean again? Who's in charge of it? Colonies. Congress. Colonies. Congress. And what does they ask the king to end the Intolerable Acts? Hey, KG3, King George III, please, please, please stop this. We don't like the Intolerable Acts. And KG3 says, no. And they also said, please, let's just go back to the days of solitary neglect. Remember, they did not want independence in 1774. They really didn't even want it in 1775. And even in the beginning of 1776. We'll get to why in Chapter 8. This is a list of very key acts and events that you must know for your test. Please spend some time reviewing this. And go Reds. Have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you Monday.